Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to this Ascension update. And be well prepared because this one is a biggie. So I have my notes with me once again because I cannot miss on anything at this time. So it's a very important time. Just yesterday here in our sacred mountain portal, we had shifting weather. There's a great massive energy that is coming as a wave again. And if you're a sentient being, you will feel it. Everybody can feel it. And just yesterday I had this magical moment. I was standing by the window. Somehow I was meant to be doing something, but I wasn't. So I was able to experience this universal, almost like a timeline shift, like a new gateway opening. And I stood by the window, and all of a sudden the wind came and rushed so fast. The energy was like swirling in a circular movement, and the leaves, you know, it's the fall season, it's coming into a fall season now. The leaves were like swirling around, and they were going like in a tornado movement, and it was so intense, but it only lasted maybe half a minute, and it was over, and then like nothing happened. So it was very magical. And these weather shifts, when we observe them, they usually imply these shifts. So everything is going towards a culmination, and that's why this video is dedicated to the first ascending wave. And what does this mean? And there are going to be many subtopics covering this. So I asked my guidance, I said, give me a sign that this is really the shift and it's happening, and this weather thing happened. And I knew that this was it, that this was a sign, because they always give me messages. And so this was right on the day that Mercury went retrograde and Saturn is moving into the sign of Sagittarius. So I'll talk about this as well in this update. But it's almost like we're receiving these signs, and it's all feeling based. So it's the knowing that we know that we know. And at this current point in our timeline shifts and the dimensional shifts, because there's many shifts, and I'm going to be covering this as well, it's almost like we're feeling there's no way back. And for me personally, because recently, I think 3 people in the same day asked me if I'm going to do personal services again, if I can do or offer readings or sessions. And I felt like, okay, what is this about? And usually it's either a test or it's something you're meant to do. So when I moved into my heart space, I still felt no, because this is what I was guided to do towards the end of the season as we were moving into the summer. And Venus going retrograde, so I felt I can't do this. It feels like when I look into that timeline, it feels like a door that's closed. So again, I asked for signs, and today I took this walk. I wanted to record in my usual spots, but the water here was flooded. We were not at home. We were at the seaside for a few days, and as I returned here, walking, you know, alongside the beach, the water was flooded. It was full of water. You couldn't go on the typical pathway. And this was a sign. It's closed, you know. And then I come to the other path. Again, it's closed off. And then it was closed up by the tree. So 3 times the synchronicity language, how it speaks to us, you know, our own universal self that we're always connected to, but somehow we don't always pay attention. But I know, you know, I've mastered my own language, how the spirit speaks through me. And I know that this is an ending. And then I got this card message saying, no, you know, it's just not what I'm guided to do at this time. And I'm going to explain this towards the end, so stay with me. There's going to be so many updates coming through because there's an overwhelming time right now. You know, I was like, okay, can I get this everything in one video? I'm going to try. It's going to be a long one. But I usually don't break the Ascension updates in 2 parts. So I'm going to try to cover it as best as I can, as always. But even, you know, yesterday I asked my mom before she went outside in the forest, and sometimes I'm just guided automatically to say something to someone without even knowing why. And before she closed the door, I said, and tune into what Spirit is saying through you. And she's like, okay, you know, channel something through. And I didn't even ask her when she came back because I was busy doing my things. And then I say something about changes and things feeling like they're never going to be the same. And she said, but that's what I received outside in nature. There was a voice, and very strongly telling me things will never be the same again. Things are changing, big shifts. And I'm sure a lot of you are feeling this. And this does relate to this last completion of the 4 tetrads of the eclipses that we had. And this is almost like a sealing of energy, and I'm going to talk about this here. I'm going to go through the notes. I know it's going to sound more random, but we cannot miss anything at this time. It's very important so that we stay prepared in our energy and our awareness, because it can lead us to leading a more devoted life to what's really important. If we're still focused on things like our mind wants us to create, or they're not really on our path, we will feel almost like heartbroken or a lack of energy there, or we will feel like we don't belong there. And it's a sign, you know, when we focus on things that are really important, and for me this is service. we're always uplifted. Things are always magical. They're unfolding. You know, we have this buzzing feeling, and if you felt these shifts recently, you might have experienced this electricity buzzing in your body. I had this lack of wanting to sleep. I just was so wide awake, and this was a profound shift that occurred after my birthday, which was September 15. And thank you, by the way, everybody who congratulated on my solar return. This year was amazing because I spent it completely offline, unplugged at the ocean. I was bathing, and I came to this spot which I used to come as a child, and it was very nostalgic. I had this sense of returning home. So it's really beautiful. There's these huge pine trees there, and there's this bay with amazing beach. And I felt this is what I needed, because birthdays are inner initiations. They're for us. They're not for other people. And sometimes people, they mean well when they congratulate us, but sometimes this attention, when we pull it towards the outer, we're not really staying with what we are supposed to anchor on our own solar return. So in the morning of my exact hour of the solar return, I was on my 10 hours of power. I was on the beach playing the celestial music with my crystal bowl, and I was singing, and it felt magical, and I just sang about what I want to just be within, you know. It's just this energy of creating. So this new energy rush, this vortex energy is occurring. Stay present with it. You might feel like you're not guided to do things, although there is also a forward moving energy because we're within the eclipses. So we have Mercury retrograde, and yet it feels dynamic because it's between the eclipses. So we feel like we want to tie up loose ends and things like that. So this weather in nature, it's always shown to us. What we had here is, I don't know what happened, whether there was a storm here or what. The beach is totally altered. We weren't here, but I feel now it's these fast moving energies. Now it's so hot here. I'm wearing a sweater, but I'm sweating, although it's cloudy. The air is so thick and so moist, and it's very warm here. So these shifts can be very sudden, and it feels like the air waves, the air masses are shifting, they're mixing, and this is what's happening when we have portal weather. So these planetary alignments as well, the Schumann's resonance, as you know, is increasing. There's this culmination of the critical mass point of this light quotient being reached, and this is really being felt now as we're approaching the second eclipse towards the end of September. So this first ascending wave, what does this mean? You might have experienced yourself this or encountered this information. What this means is that this first ascending wave that will be sealed with this last eclipse in the tetrad of these four blood red moons. This seals the 3-year period that we have and we've experienced since 2012. And these were, sometimes they call this the 3 days of darkness, but these were the 3 years of purging, basically. It was very symbolically and presented to us. When we see it as physical, like direct, we can't always see the bigger picture, but it was meant as in 3 years of purging. And as you know, Saturn, which is our devotion to ascension, was moving through the sign of Scorpio, which is the underworld and the cleansing and the purging before we can, you know, elevate ourselves to this new degree in our ascension. So there was these days of darkness and transformation from 2012, which was an opening and passageway that began our ascension in the physical. And then this is now being sealed. It's like a sealing. So if you've meditated and you felt like this doorway, like things, you can't go to a certain point where you used to be. Even if you try, it feels like lack of energy there. So it's almost like if I went back to what I said I will no longer be doing, it will be lack, it would be stagnation there, no abundance there. Sometimes this can feel fearful and overwhelming because in the new you're like, okay, so how will I now create a new level of abundance? But remember, you are the abundance, you are the vortex of energy. By aligning with this new, material will follow you as well. It can be challenging because we still have those beliefs that the external is our support system, but it's always spirit. We are in partnership with spirit. Remember that as you're traveling through these turbulent waters. So the important thing also here is that this is a huge major cycle that's ending now. It's not just, you know, some random period. It's very, very important. And all along through my spirit direct sourcing, I've always seen the year. They've always been showing me 2015, even back in, I don't know, was it 2012? They kept showing me 2015. This is what we're preparing for. And then this year also begins another 3 year, because its spirit is pulsating. It's like a holy breath of spirit is always pulsating. So another wave of then integrating this level where we're moving towards now will be then felt and experienced beyond 2018. And this is another important passageway for us. But these shifts are always ongoing. They're always enforcing something within us. So this cycle is ending. There's a death, but there's also a rebirth. So don't be afraid if you feel like you don't know what to do now. People still ask me if I'm willing to tell them through readings, but the offering readings, this is a 4th dimensional template, and I'll explain this towards the end. A lot of us now are moving in service within the 5th dimensional template. This is this other frequency when you're just embodying this and being the guide through your own embodiment, and you're just being like this vortex of light. You're no longer helping or saving and rescuing, but you're really just emanating that light, and you're fulfilling your own light quotient, and I'll explain this later. So these shifts we're experiencing, they're always multidimensional in nature. That means that there's more of them. You might not be where others are, and they might be where you are. So there's a difference in this perspective. We all have different perspectives, and what we feel is shifting because we carry our own dimensional awareness. And then the density of what we embody then is correspondent with that. But then how we also relate to the physical, that we would still say, okay, a lot of the things are still in the 3D matrix, so how does this apply? It's because of this difference in our dimensional awareness and perspective. So if you see it again like this, you know, the one on top has the highest perspective. That doesn't mean that someone else might not have a perspective, because everybody now who's in a way serving the planetary shift has their own key, has a certain important frequency to unlock, important purpose to fulfill, and they have their own perspective within the greater perspective of all. There's very little beings on the planet who have the perspective of all, just a few avatar beings. But this does not mean anybody is wrong. You might watch a video from someone and read something, and things from another source might be similar but not totally. It's not because any of that is wrong. It's just you're finding your own resonance, and in the end, when you're reaching this angelic human self, it's like a pathway that's calling you. Your higher self is calling you. You'll be more and more guided towards your own inner voice, what it has to tell you and what you will be guided to share. So no longer relying merely on these external sources. They can be confirmations, and that's it. So when you look at it, it's everybody has a key, everybody has an important piece of the puzzle, and not everybody has all the answers. So recently someone said to me, I love to watch your material because it's so filter free. It's because we need to move from filters. You know, we can have knowledge, but how do we filter it? Do we still add our own egoic interpretations to it, or is it really from source? Is it really spirit based and infused? So it's important that we move from this filter to just being the vessel of spirit. So you're just the vessel, no filters. That's important. So when you look at it like this, we're all going to be having our own perspective. So even the shift that we're talking about now, it's not going to be experienced the same by us, because we exist on these different awareness levels. It's how it is. So we always see from our own vantage point, so where we are standing, how we engage in this width, so how wide we are in our awareness. So the wider and the further up we go, sometimes it's more challenging, it can be more challenging, but you can also have greater perspectives than most. And I'll explain some of these bigger perspectives you can incorporate in your own ascension and the topics that I'll be addressing. So these movements, like Mercury retrograde now, which is slightly different than usual, and Saturn in Sagittarius, which talks about the expanded commitments that we're going to be asked to take. Also more travel, more moving outwards with our energy, because we're moving from this preparation phase and ending this certain cycle to going out in the world, teaching what we have to say, just sharing what we have to say, putting our vibration out, and devoting to this truth, because Sagittarius is the sign of truth, especially because now the galactic sun is in 26 to 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So this is a very important attunement and alignment now, because Saturn is that what we're going to do, how we're going to materialize it, how we're going to create this in form. Are we grounded to do that? And this also ties in with Jupiter moving into Virgo. As you know, this also is this greater devotion to service. So this combined is a really strong energy to really step up in our commitment. So with this, major expansion comes, and this Mercury retrograde is important more than ever so before, because it is within the eclipses exactly. So this means that it's not an ordinary retrograde, but we really are called to all the breakings that need to be broken, you know, all the heartbreaks that need to be finished, dots on the I's, cutting up loose ends and these ties that we still feel called to. So finishing things before this last eclipse, these few more weeks that we're moving through, and this culminating a few days towards the end. It's not even an end, it's just a new beginning. It's seen like a circle being completed. So if you're meditating with the circle, continue to surround yourself with a wide circle of light and see how each time you do it, it gets wider, it gets more expanded. And I really recommend this. It's very beautiful. So we are kind of guided to do that. Especially this is important because sometimes we think we have these agreements and soul contracts with others. But if you've been reading some of Sal Kelly's material and how he explains this, is we have these agreements that we made on a certain level, but maybe that level of who we were wasn't the level of our highest perspective. So it created these false perceptions of we need to owe someone something or a certain soul something. And then we created this and we came here to experience it, but we need to divorce ourselves from it at this time. And this is what this means as well. This completion is tying up loose ends in the sense of divorcing things that are not of our true nature and marrying our true authentic self. So also we will have the equinox, and 21st, 22nd, which usually is about these this Libra energy, this perfect balance, and the day and the night, the yin and the yang being equally balanced. But also it's important, if you've seen a video from Celia Fenn, she's from, I think, South Africa. She channels Archangel Michael, I don't know, but just recently I saw this and she really spoke the truth, because divine masculine and feminine balancing is happening now on the planet, and it all began with Venus being sparked up by Jupiter and then aligning in conjunction with Mars, and these two beloveds in the physical, in the form, in the flesh, began to have this cosmic dance and communion, this communal dance I would call it, and it's taking place towards November, and they're going to be aligning this way again exactly in November. She did mention November being important because true unions now are possible more than ever so before, because this whole focus, since I remember my awakening began sometime in 2010, but I think it was from 2008 on that this sacred feminine energy really was starting to be more integrated, this divine feminine, and took years and years for us to really pave the way in this energy. So now also it's being married with the divine masculine, because somehow in the picture a lot of people forgot about this. They need to have an equal partnership dance, and because of this happening in the physical as well, they can form these unions, and they're going to start to form. They're going to be more possible in the physical, because Gaia as a planetary body consciousness is also supporting this now too, because the energies are this way. So if you felt this yourself, this was a true calling, and a lot of you are on the illumined twin soul path, and I'm going to be mentioning this as well. So this coming together is formed through a unified prism of light. Remember, we from the whole, we emerge through this prism of light, and this is described in Lisa Riel in her book called The Prism of Lyra. But we're integrating and coming back into this light. So we're moving back through this prism, and these true unified illumined unions are possible through that. So until November, this time is going to be really important, and it does coincide with Venus and Mars conjuncting again. And this, of course, goes beyond. It's not just November and that's it, but it's how the energies are seated, and then things start to unfold in the physical. But for all of you who have really jumped, because now there's a lot of messages about risks and leap of faith and just coming to an end of a certain experience, and now you gotta jump because there's nothing else left to do. If you felt like empty, like you don't know where to go next, this is actually a good sign. But don't try to mentally understand it. Allow it to come to you. Allow these opportunities to come to you as you wait and prepare for them. You invite them in your sacred space, so you don't have to try hard for them. This is the old way. This is the mind controlling way, but we just need to allow. So for those of you who feel like first signs of material embodiment will start to flow through. First, materialization forms that align with your fifth dimensional self template. So we are entering a new dimensional doorway of embodiment, this clean slate energy that we're feeling. And we always knew this was to happen. This is what spirits shared with me today. You always knew this was to happen, and you progressed and you worked for that, and you strived and you progressed towards that. So the first wave of pioneers, and this was mentioned in this latest channeling someone sent to me, again from I don't know who, because I don't really care. It's just about the message, the information coming through that either resonates or not. So it mentioned even the first wave of Ascension pioneers. I'm like, really? Ascension pioneers? This is what I do. And it was really funny to have that exact wording. And it's important to know who we are. And I've made this Ascension Pioneers video, Divine Remembrance. It's on my homepage. I've set up a light at the side. You can see it. And also under my light activations, you can see it. So the devotion for Ascension Pioneers was always towards the progression of planetary ascension that occurs also through our own personal ascension. So when you see people who are devoted to this service, you know they're Ascension Pioneers. There's a lot of people who are who like the sound of it, who like the idea of ascension. But I said many times, self-help, self-improvement is not the same as ascension. It creates a pathway towards it, of course. But ascension begins when you really devote yourself, when you commit yourself to higher service, because divine love is an act of pure service. So we're not really ending our mission, so how sometimes it feels like an ending, but we're expanding our mission. And these doorways that are closed, if you feel something's closed off, let it be. It served its purpose. You served on that level of awareness. You've helped a lot of people for sure. But from this window of opportunity now, there will be a new journey and a new purpose that will be revealed to us in perfect divine timing, and it will begin as we're ready for it and as it is ready for us. So the planetary energies are often in line with our readiness. When the planetary energies are ready, we're ready, and vice versa. It's an interplaying of energies. So our shifting focus in this five-dimensional template, this being a guide in the fifth-dimensional template, it means that some of us have already been working towards this, and we've established these things, like what I do, for example, is just one of the examples. But on a fourth-dimensional template, it's more about self-improvement, self-healing. It's healing. It's a lot of people are healers. On a fifth-dimensional template, and you've probably read this in the books of Dolores Cannon, healers are no longer needed because you're already whole, and you assist people with your own wholeness. You just reverberate that light outwardly, and you create a vortex of light. And my own purpose and mission, and a huge grand vision I have, is to create such a sacred temple that when people come physically there, when I will be holding retreats, when everything comes together, just by mere coming into that energy space, into that vortex, people will already start to shift in energy, because everything I've did so far as a preparation has already prepared the gateway. It's all happening now. You know, what I'm doing now is already a part of what I'm doing there. It's just steps, because we do experience a part of linearity in the cyclical nature of time. And it's how it is. It's a different level of service. Not everybody is moving there yet. A lot of people like to hold the fourth dimensional template, which is a passageway. It's always a passageway for a very maybe longer period of time, and that's okay. That's perfect, because there will always be service needed on that level. Don't get me wrong. It's not higher, better, or lower. It's just what it is on the level. But when you come to a certain way, and today I've been singing the songs of Seraphim, and they said to me, but now you know who you are, you can no longer go back. Things will not be the same. Because when you remember certain things, you can't forget them. When you know them, and as much as you would not want it to be this way, sometimes you think, oh, it's too fast, I'm not ready. But you are ready, because it's happening. It means you're ready. And we've always been ready. We were born ready. And it's just the nature of accepting it, of loving it, loving where you are, who you are, what you are. And it's really perfect, because when you know this, you're like laughing at yourself, because you just trust life. You know that you're not in control of it. You're just creating it. You're a beautiful co-creation. So this fifth dimensional level of guidance is different, and you will feel it in yourself if you've been shifting to this. And especially after the last eclipse, you will begin to feel it even more. So it's not this lower 3 to 4D level kind of guidance. And you know, there was a great description recently on Facebook of these three worlds that are now kind of like in parallel existence, although there's also other worlds. They're just not physical. But these expressions, such as, you know, the third world of materiality, then you have the fourth, which is the magical things, and the fifth, which is the miraculous. And in the fifth, it's like miracles become your daily life. It's synchronicity is who you are. You don't perceive it as miraculous anymore. It's just the template has changed. And this is what it means. We're the first wave of ascension. We're ascending. Reality is different here. That's why Spirit said things cannot go and be the way they used to be. You're not even receiving guidance the same way anymore. And you might be feeling like, oh, I feel blank. Am I even receiving anymore? Yes, but it's taking place on a new level. So before you really adjust to this new vibrational attunement, give yourself some space and time to feel into it. Because if you just want to jump through all the steps, and sometimes people want to rush ahead, they want to be somewhere and they're not there. So it's important to assess where you are in your journey now, because you're not lacking or lagging behind or whatever. You are where you need to be. It's unfolding for everybody in their own personal self-mastery perfectly. So this new creatrix is being built within this fifth dimensional template, and the new opening of pathways. So my personal example of the angelic human embodiment that I went through was all of a sudden I knew I had to release some things. I knew I needed this time, this period of just stopping things for a while to embrace this, to embody this, because I cannot teach it, I cannot speak it, I cannot do anything if I don't really, really embody it. And when you give yourself this time for this to blossom within you, the divine remembrance of what you are, your path will just come naturally, and you will know what to do. And sometimes people tell me, and they said, but how do you always know your next step and what you're to do and what you're to create? I'm like, I don't know, I just go along the lines. Some things I know, they're greater visions, they're going to maybe take place within a few years, I don't know. But I do know what's in my heart. The soul knows my heart, and vice versa, it is my heart. And it's the same for you. So this embodiment, this means that we're still moving into this new vibrational space. We need this time to reflect on it, to allow it to occur naturally. So also I want to talk a bit about illumined unions which are taking place. So how do we know we're in this path? And I shared this video about being a divine lover, the path of an illumined twin soul. Sometimes, you know, it feels like people say, I don't know, how do you know? Well, you know, because for me, I've always been writing this twin poetry, I've been writing beloved songs, I've been painting these paintings. I just have this in my heart. This is my heart. My twin nature is my heart. But it's not always how people perceive it to be in the material plane. And again, remember the bigger perspective thing. Sometimes when I see other people talking about it, they see it as certain facts they have right, but the perceptions of the things that are taking place as a part of the journey, they don't always see it from the highest, biggest perspective, because they're needed as well. So when you are an illumined twin soul for real, your path again is focused on service. There's others who are moving into the beloved union, and you are serving those, and it's all one at the same time. But your focus will be on your brothers and sisters within the great unified collective. This will be your devotion. Your devotion won't just be, will I be happily wedded forever and ever, or this and that. This is a beautiful desire. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that the real returning illumined twin soul beings, they are the primary source of this new template, because they're showing this way. This doesn't mean it has to be physical. Sometimes you meet people, they say, if the two beings are not together, then they're not real twin souls. And it feels like, what? Do they even know that the agreements that they made before coming here is to help a lot of other people before maybe they will reunite? So how can you say things like that if you don't know the path of others and their agreements? Because the path of an illumined twin soul is to serve. And I remember a few years back, my higher self is in terms of both of us as one. It spoke to me and it said, just remember our mission. We will meet after a certain quotient is fulfilled, after a certain light infusion of certain individuals. And it was just, I cannot control it. It is what it is. This is a greater divine plan and action. So a lot of information shared out there is still focused only on the goal, the end. This, okay, reunited, physical, this and that. you can always be in your reunion when you're focused on service through divine love and just loving for the sake of love itself. That's the real unconditional love. And a lot of beings who were on this path, but they had other kind of relationships and they resented them, or they resented the person because it didn't always reflect their own level of love, of how they love. They wasn't always reciprocated. They had this resentment of, oh, life not giving the same back to them. But they have again forgotten that they are unconditional love. And that's why they're in the situation in the first place, to be the lighthouse for those who are not yet capable as in this moment. I'm not speaking about in general, but in this moment they're not capable of holding so much love because they're forgotten about it. And that's why you're here. So when you truly are an illumined twin soul, your focus will be divine service. Either you're physically reunited or not. Nobody has the right to tell you, aha, you don't know, because you're not physically together with someone. And I see when people share these stories, everybody, and they've even did this to me in the beginning. I remember they say, are you physically with your twin? Are you this and that? They continuously focus on this end goal. They don't see the bigger plan. They don't know the mission, which is so grand. It's so vast. Our human self doesn't always understand it. Even I sometimes, when I'm living my daily life, don't always understand it, but I move in my heart. So when you know your path as a divine lover, you will know yourself as a cosmic initiate of service, divine service. So in this path, you will have many who come your way. You will assist them, they will assist you. So this is a path, it is a part of it. So some people say, oh, karmic relationships are bad, soulmates are bad, they're not within a real twin union, but then again, the twin union does not separate. Remember that. So we are in a way, through these heartbreaks and old decisions and old choices that we no longer resonate with, we are divorcing from these things, and it does happen naturally. It's not something you can say, okay, I decree now that for the rest of my life I will no longer meet any of the soulmates, I won't meet, none of the karmic. It's like a progression that is needed. And it's something that's, again, happening on a greater divine scale. And when you have a higher perspective on this, you will know that if it's coming in your life, it's for a reason. If someone's there in your life, it's for a reason. When you no longer want them to be there and you want to shift, that's for a reason as well. Just follow through with your feeling. So these perceived agreements and contracts, they're not always serving us. But when it's unconditional love giving and infusion of service, then it's good, because it really is an act of love with grace. So these contracts, when we perceive them as like we're attached to them, they're really detrimental to our soul expansion and advancement in service. So we know that we're an illuminated path when we focus on service, and that's why I ask you, where's your focus? Where's your devotion? Are you choosing wisely for yourself? But again, are you allowing things to come to fruition naturally? So for example, when I have my own experience and I have a relationship and I feel great and happy about it, even though I feel it's not that which I know it's the goal. It's not even a goal, but there's a pathway to it, and I embrace it as such, and I love and I allow myself to love. But then there's also a time when I will feel it shifts and I no longer feel happy, and I feel this is not this, and it feels like saying goodbye, and then you love and leave, and it's perfect. So your soul guides you, and you need to trust your soul. When you mentally think you have to break something, you have to make a certain ending, or you're trying to save someone from, people say, my twin is in this relationship or that relationship, why are they not with me? Again, are you allowing yourself and them to love and to experience these phases? Because it's not linear. It's not like we're running out of time. Of course, it's an important thing, but again, see the bigger perspective. You don't know how many souls you've came to assist along your journey, and you can assist them separately and together, because you're always together anyway. You are the same soul. You are the same illuminated being. So are you in this higher perspective on assisting others? If you are, you will really start to notice these changes taking place now. So the example of this is the old relationships that are built on heartaches, this breaking of the heart. And when there's an example of this, and when I experienced this myself, it's so sudden, because if you've noticed this, how much we already shifted. If you have a feeling like this, and you have like a little pain in your body, or you feel like you're divorcing from someone, or you're not really divorcing from them, by the way, you are divorcing from a pattern, a belief, a projection, or something that you've helped this person to move through, or you yourself needed to empower in your path of mastery. So you now can feel that this is shifting so much faster than before. In the past, people were heartbroken for years even, or months, or now it's like a shift is sudden. The most sudden shift I had was just recently with this Mercury retrograde, and it was from September 16 to 17 was like instant shift. I was already uplifted and singing and feeling this drive to be of service. And when I'm in this mode, I know I'm in the right path because my focus is in service, and then the abundance is always there, support is there, because your focus is, your heart is in the right place. So these choices, if they're done wisely, we will know. And if something doesn't make us feel good, it's for a reason. It's to give us a sign. And we need to bring this new level of devotion to truth and what this illuminated twin counterparts came here to establish anyway. So the twin template is the mission-oriented template, and it's always a priority. There's a video example from this woman, I forgot her name, Patricia, I think. Patricia, I don't know her last name. She talked about these seraphim twins as well. I'm like, I'm listening because this is my path. And, my page is called Serapina Light, and I am of the order of the seraphim. And this is the essence I'm just culminating through, cultivating through my vessel. And it's related with the Shekinah energy. And she talked about this, and someone sent me this video in the summer. I didn't even see it. And then I see it again, and I'm guided to see it just yesterday. I'm like, why am I looking at this now? Wow, perfect timing, of course. Because I don't really watch these videos. I'm always busy creating my own things, but often Spirit will show me, okay, watch this, because it's a confirmation of what I already know. It's like, do you know what you know that you know, and are you trusting it? And she talked about these beings being born in Europe. And I'm like, wow, I'm listening. And she even mentioned our country, Slovenia. And I was really psyched. I was like, I can't believe this. It felt like my spirit speaking through that person, like in a perfect divine timing. So this angelic template, which the seraphim does lead me there, is the new human template prototype. And it's this something I really wish to read you from at the end about the angels and our contact with angels from Serapis Bay in the book of the Ascended Masters, Book of Ritual and Prayer. Because when we're calling in our angels, and this is a standard message right now, we're actually calling in our own angelic self. So the synthesize of this overall is choice. What are we choosing? What are you choosing? What am I choosing? Not feeling guilty over anything, even if you felt, oh, I've experienced a relationship that was heartbreaking. It was meant to be. You've chosen it. It chose you. Perfection. Now move on with love, with grace, with your angelic style. It's how I roll. So our dreams coming true, we will see that. Because even though we have these stopping points, when sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to stop here and assist this person and then move on. Even these stopping points are perfect divine timing and alignment. I always get the same message about the beloved attunement and reunion. It's worth waiting for. It means it's already all intact. It's already a communication that goes in the ethers and beyond what we perceive in the physical. So these real material examples will start showing up after the second eclipse is culmination, and we've done the work and we know where our focus is. So these old templates, like I've said, they've served us, but we also know that it's not about resenting them, but knowing that we're here to be unconditional love. We're here to master service. We're here to master the act of love and service. That's my own feeling. So my own example with this would be that I know my nature of purpose is different than most, because most are still first time remembering this, but you're assisting them to remember with your own remembrance. So I call this the avatar service. That's how Spirit shows me. And this first choice is always the twin polarity serving others. So where's your devotion? Where's your focus? And this will show you how the gifts are culminating for you materially, and what are we creating. So I always get this card recently that says, what do you wish? What are your wishes? Then do that. It is simple. Sometimes the mind makes it complex. So the point of integration is through love. I've made a video on cosmic integration through love. Watch this. Sometimes you got to be serious as well and responsible. So this twin, divine true love, is washing over the planet, and this integration takes place. The twin is the polarity merging together. That's why it is important, but it's not a goal. It's not something, if I don't do it this way, then I'm not in integration. Every relationship, every step. And I see this polarity playing out still in terms of negative, positive polarity, and still not in integration, because some people talk about it as there is no twins, that doesn't exist, it's all fake, it's all New Age. And some people approach it from completely New Age perspective. And again, wait a minute, where's the integration here? And I know that I have this integration within me because it's all true. It is all source, but we also do exist as these divine partnership balanced counterparts. And every act of our love counts and it matters. So this current shift we're in, it's a biggie. divine love is really being felt and washing our planet. It's also fun. Don't forget to have fun. And we need to see it as a ride. So we need to release the expectations and allow the divine to take us wherever we need to go. Sometimes we say, I want to go here. Something doesn't fall through and you're like, what? And the divine says, yeah, this way. And you just say, okay, it might be better. It might be something you didn't expect, but it might be better. It surely will be. So remember who you are, and Spirit says what you know, that you do know, because it is your knowing, and there is no other way. Many doubted this and their own nature of being a divine lover, being of service, being an ascension pioneer, all of this, or thought they were going crazy with some of the guidance they had. But you know, sometimes in this world it feels that way because you feel you're the only one here that's insane. Well, nobody's insane. There's just different levels of awareness. So such doubt is also important because Spirit says, for only in questioning everything lies true mastery. It's how it is. Sometimes we need to. So the poem quote that I wrote today as well was, some things just cannot be rushed. The perfection comes through the artist's brush. And this perfectly talks about divine will, the plan of the divine in motion. So it is what it is. Before I go, I would like to mention the mastery course that I am preparing for this month. This will be all about these greater divine relationships, greater group collective service. There's already a Mastering the Cosmic Service light activation on my page. Also, Holy Spirit messages, don't forget. Today I recorded the second one. It was amazing because I was doing my grace yoga. And I laid in this position, I saw myself as this angel being, and I started singing. I couldn't stop it. I'm like, wow, this is the second song, because the message I already recorded was about grace. It's all about grace, what grace is, how we attain it, how we live it. And then the song came through. And I'm like, I got to record it right away. And I started recording this beautiful song, attunement, celestial attunement is how they're called them. So this is what I'm doing now, and it will be lots more, and I wish to really establish this angelic human self coaching, which it's not really a coaching, it's just, you know, people like to call it this way. It's just something that really teaches people how to live this way rather than giving them the answers, which is sometimes what I did on this fourth dimensional template of offering these services. But now I'm moving into this fifth, which is just mastering my own guidance system and then teaching people how to recognize their own, which is not even teaching. Certain things you cannot teach. It's like funny because when you really know things that you know they're through you. So how do you now teach this to others? It's very tricky. So it's a fine line between real teaching and just showing the way. And these personal services and retreats, sometimes I also have to tell you, because retreats, people ask me about them very often, especially lately, and they want to come. And the retreats I will be building will be on a very higher octave of being. So certain things need to happen first. So what Spirit shows me is I need to be with the planetary shift now. There's this focus here now. As this stage is complete, and then this fifth template, this will be. So the retreats, the whole nature of them will already be in this fifth template. So I'm still in the integration mode of that. So we cannot rush things, like the quote said here. Again, some things just cannot be rushed. The perfection comes through the artist's brush. So it talks about this flow of energy, this unfolding, the becoming. I'm already in the retreats, if you know what I mean. I'm already preparing stuff behind the scenes for it. So for those of you who are guided to donate to what I do, I'm really grateful, because to have a mission on such a higher ethereal plane while the rest of the world is not there yet, it's challenging, because you have to trust every step of the way will be supported, and what you do is not visible. Most of the things are not visible. The videos are visible. You know, people write to me more than ever so now before and thanking me, and I'm thanking you as well, because you are my passion, you are my light, you are my joy. Without you, why would I come here? I mean, I love you all so much. I can tell you, okay, I'm gonna cry now. Okay, I hope not. But I'm feeling the tears coming up. So really, all of you, you are Ascension pioneers. You are my light, or my joy. You're like my children. I always see people like my children, because we're all one. Not like children that, you know, I'm a mother, but in a way that, you know, like children see each other. They also like, we are each other's children. It's like innocent, what I mean. It's this innocent perspective of our brotherhood and sisterhood, and that's how I feel. And this is always my first calling. It's not the other things. You know, many people get stuck in the trivial things. They say, I want want to do this, I want to be of service, but then they get stuck in the trivial things. It's a phase, but when you bypass that, you will see where your heart is truly at and how you really master listening to your heart. So the personal services will no longer be available because I cannot do readings for others anymore in no other way, shape, or form, but I will be guiding you and creating these projects like courses, activations, Holy Spirit messages that will attune you to also come to this fifth dimensional template yourself, because this is a call for those pioneers who are again mastering this, so they will be further assisting the rest. It's a group effort. It's not mine or yours. It's a group collective thing, this ascension. It's personal and yet it's a group based, because a group always has a greater effort, and the greater effort relies on greater potential. So this is it. I hope you enjoy these messages, and if I have any time left, I will read you from this ritual prayer book on the Connected with Angels. So here's the paragraph from Serapis Bey, and it's called The Ritual of Connecting with the Angels. It's really beautiful, and I love Serapis. You know, I'm on his team. So if you notice in this book, he's the only one here who's called Master and Angel. And I know why this is so, and it's really beautiful. So I'm going to read to all of you. As the world moves forward, mankind and angel kind will become more and more in contact and communion with each other, and through embodiment as well. The world is destined to become more aligned with the power of heaven and the consciousness of God. As angelic kind are the messengers of God, the bringers of God's word to earth and God's consciousness. They will enable mankind to make, beautiful sun, the transition which will allow it to commune with the power of the divine source itself directly. The awareness and acknowledgement of angels has already begun to integrate itself more fully with the consciousness of mankind through images, stories, books, music, objects, and experiences. And I love creating my seraphim art as well. It's the light of my world. As the earth continues in its evolution, this will become more and more apparent. Angels have much to give to mankind: understanding, teaching, truth, love, power, and healing. Oh my God, tears coming up right again. They have the ability to make reality easy and effortless. And that's why sometimes people think, oh, what you do is so easy. You don't even have to flick a finger. It just looks this way because of their grace. So to introduce to mankind the concept of non-limitation, to gently ease it back into the stream and the flow of God's consciousness. Oh my gosh, I'm so teary today. To make it aware of the greater truth which transcends that which it presently knows and understands. In their collective mind, angels carry understanding and remembrance of what the earth once was, and inside each and every one of their hearts, ideas of the beauty of mankind and its divinity. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. It is this remembrance which they will bring back to the consciousness of mankind in order to reintroduce them to this energy, in order to bring the earth back to a point of its past, back to a point of paradise and wonder. Communion with angels is far easier than one would at first imagine. There is no necessity for elaborate ritual, the construction of intricate magical circles, the invocation of angels in Hebrew or Latin, astrological convergences, ritualistic ceremony, and magic. It's all here. Angels are around us all the time, our guardian angels, the angels who guide us in specific aspects of our work, the archangels and their attendants, and the leagues of angels that transcend them. Some of their consciousness is permanently focused upon mankind's evolution, it's true, and the development in order to assist humans with their own growth and their own spiritual progression. Communion with angels is a matter of intention, emotion, and thought. It is reaching out with the heart and the mind simultaneously in order to open and expand and become aware of the fine presence of these glorious beings. It is not an effort of our concentration, but an effort of relaxation and surrender, allowing their power and their presence to enter smoothly into your life, to see them in everything, in every word, in every emotion, to acknowledge their presence as images which you will see, as statues, as pictures, as paintings. What I do, as words which you will hear whispered in the deep recesses of your heart and mind, as feelings of great joy, bliss, and love. At times, however, when we are sad, sorrowful, or unhappy, or when our energy or light or our vibration is very low and blurred, we are unable to make this high and refined connection and communion. It is difficult to reach out and take the hands of these unseen helpers who can provide us with so much of what we look for and seek. So then he describes the ritual from here on. And what I would like to say personally as well, because I did mention my personal services coming to an end, is when I was too busy, when I was too focused on just trying to help everybody, my vibration got dim, my light was dimmed, and I could not be of service in a greater group collective kind of way. So sometimes not doing so much is doing more on the greater ethereal sense. So just being the angel that I am, and today they said it again, they said just embrace what you are. You cannot not know it once you know it. You cannot not be it. And just everything that pours out of me is connected to the creation angel seraphim. It's what I do, it's how I serve, it's what I know best. So for all those of you who support me in any way, thank you so much, because I would like to create so much more, everything with grace. And I really would like to invite you to check out the Holy Spirit messages, because I think they're incredible. I know that's a start. Sometimes when you create new product, it's like a kickstart, and not everybody's yet, because people need to vibrationally come. It's like, it's an invitation. So I really invite you, because these messages are great. And when I sing, when I prepare the first time, I always cry. It's a joyful crying. It's a remembrance of home. It's an energy that pours through me, and I feel such love. I feel such, this seraphim frequency. It's like I'm home, and home is yet here when I bring it, and I share it with all of you and help you remember that you also come from a place that is true love, that is this knowing of the truth that we are as beings of light. Thank you for watching, and my heart goes out to all of you. So much love, wisdom, and power as always. Take care, and I'll see you soon. So much grace.